Hi, I'm Sarah and you're watching Acid Burn Saya, and today I'm going to be talking about my favourite books that I read in 2022. Now, these aren't necessarily books that came out in 2022 just when I read them, because I can be a slow reader and it depends what other people are recommending and how long they've been sitting there and how much my mother is pressuring me to read. Did I say top 10? I have a top 12 with 2 honourable mentions. Let's get started. My first honourable mention is The Couple Next Door by Shari LaPena. This is a thriller, and this is about a couple that go next door and leave their 6-month-old daughter up in the house alone. And whenever they return, their daughter is no longer there. Their daughter has been kidnapped. Stressful. If someone had told me what this book was about, I would not have read it, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it and I just kept wanting to read more. It was brilliant. It was brilliantly done, and I just kept wanting to read. I wanted to keep knowing what had happened. I'm not good with missing children, but it was brilliantly done. I gave it a 5-star. However, it's not on my top 10. However, I really loved it at the time. However, afterwards, I really can't remember really what happens. I remember bits and pieces, but the books on my top 10 I do think about, and this one I don't think about unless I bring it up. So my second honourable mention is The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. And I really enjoyed this. It is a YA book. Belly has turned 16. She has gone to the summer house that they go to every summer with her mother's friends. It is what it says on the tin. It's whenever she turned pretty, and she looked pretty, and she was a girl, and boys noticed her. And the inner workings of a child mind were fantastic. I thought it was really well written and I really enjoyed it, and it made me nostalgic for whenever I was that age and had crushes, and it felt very realistic. I thought it was very well done. I really enjoyed it, and I hopefully will be carrying on with the rest of the series this year in 2023. Okay, now we're into the top 12. I say it's a top 12, however, I think there's a couple of different book series on this, so might be like a top 15, top 17, but we'll see. Number 12 on the list is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This was the first Emily Henry book that I read, and I read on holiday with me. And it is about a book agent and a book editor that don't like each other. The book editor ends up, her sister brings her to the small quaint town and brings her to this so they can live out a Hallmark movie. Because she is always the girl before they meet their soulmate, their one. Her sister takes her to this, and she keeps bumping into him everywhere. He's everywhere because his family lives there, and so he's there visiting and helping out. And so she's like, "Why are you here?" And so it's a lovely little romance, and it's very well written. And this is the first Emily Henry book that I'd read, and it was in depth. It wasn't shallow. There was so much to it. I thought it was brilliant. It was much more than just a wee romance, and I gave that one 4 stars. I don't think it was anywhere close to like 5, but it was definitely a solid 4-star book. Number 11 is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is a Little Mermaid retelling where she is a siren and she cuts out the hearts of princes and collects them. Because she is the princess, she only takes princes' hearts. However, she makes a mistake and her mother punishes her and turns her into a human. Of course, she meets the prince. You know, it's a Little Mermaid retelling. I mean, it's lovely. I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I loved the retelling of it. I thought it was brilliant and really thought out, and I will definitely be looking at reading more of her books. I gave this a 5-star. I loved the Easter eggs of the movie, but there was brilliant world building. I cannot complain at all. I really thought it was a 5-star read at the time. At the time I gave it 5 stars, and I did really enjoy it. However, I preferred other books to it. However, I gave them a lower rating. So yeah, oops. My rating system's a bit messed up. Number 10 is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Last Hours trilogy, and it is set in the Shadowhunters universe. This follows James and Lucy Herondale as they deal with life in the 1900s as the children of Will Herondale. We have ghosts, we have demons, we have Princes of Hell. I do like James Herondale. However, I'm not the biggest fan of Cordelia. No offense, please don't be offended, anyone. I'm interested to see what happens with Grace Blackthorne and other characters, because I do like all the characters. I think they're brilliant characters. I'm just not a big fan of Cordelia, that's the thing. I think that's really my downfall with this one, is I'm not a big fan of Cordelia. Number 9 spot goes to The Shadow Sister by Lucinda Riley. The Shadow Sister is the 3rd book in the 7 Sisters, and this is the 2nd one. The 2nd one I thought was brilliant at the time. Personally, I probably could put them together, which is fine. It's my channel, my rules. These are about 6 sisters, because the 7th is missing. It's the whole thing. Their adopted father dies and ends up leaving them clues as to who they are and where they come from. And they end up in all different corners of the globe trying to figure this out. And they all have different personalities. Shadow Sister is about books, and it's set in London, in a bookshop, and it's Oxford and literature and everything. And she's she's the quiet one. And the Storm Sister is set in Norway, and she is a sailor. She sails and does competitions and everything. And I gave the Shadow Sister a 4-star. The Storm Sister would have been better, but I think I give the Storm Sister a 4 stars as well. But with the Storm Sister, because there's flashbacks to their ancestors, I'm much more in the Storm Sisters. I much more enjoyed the flashbacks to Ali's actual story herself, because I thought her story was a bit too predictable. I could see things coming a mile off. And number 8 is the Inheritance Games series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this is all 3. I really enjoyed them. I think I gave the last one 5 stars. The others I think were all sort of high 4 stars, but I'm just giving a 5-star rating to the entire series because I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to keep reading it, and I'm so glad that I was able to. The series follows a teenager who is left billions of dollars, and he disinherits the family. She comes to a will reading, and he just leaves everything to her, and it's this huge mansion, and it's puzzles and games and trying to figure everything out. It was brilliant and so well thought out. It was very good and didn't disappoint. Highly recommend to anyone who wants to read. Number 7 is The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. This is a non-fiction. In my top 10. A non-fiction. Can you believe it? I can't. So these are a series of essays. I gave this 5-star. It's so good. It is so good. I really enjoyed these. I listened to this on audiobook. I am waiting for the book to go down in price a little bit more before I buy it, because I think there's so many quotable quotes in it and so many lessons. I still talk about the Monopoly thing. There's a story he talks about Monopoly and how there's how it was originally called the Landowner's Game, and it was created by a woman who wanted to show 2 different ways to play in the game of life. Basically, you can either take money off all your friends and win because everyone else loses, or when you win, everybody wins. And there's all these different things. And he talks in the Anthropocene Reviewed, he talks about all these different things, and it's so good. And just his thoughts, he's fascinating. I really highly recommend it. I think it's brilliant, and it really makes you think on some aspects. Number 6 is another non-fiction. Can you believe it? But this one's a memoir. And this is The Storyteller by Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl is the drummer from Nirvana. He is also the lead singer and guitarist from Foo Fighters. He has done so many things, and he has talked about this in his memoir. It is brilliant. and he is brilliant, and he's so nice and warm, and just he is so nice. He comes off so well in this memoir. It's just brilliant. I still think about it, and I still think him and what he said in his memoir, I thought it was very, very good and very thought-provoking. And I think that's really with my favorite books this in 2022 are books that I would like to reread, and books that I still think about. And so I think that's really why there's some, 3 stars and 4 stars that are above 5 stars, because it's how I still think about them. If I'm still thinking about them, then they're a good book. And if I want to reread them, they're definitely a good book, because they're a book that I want to go back to. Number 5 is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book, when I was reading it, I really thought was going to be higher on the list. This is set in Malibu, and it is about a house fire. 4 siblings hold a party in Malibu, and the book is set over 24 hours. However, there's a lot of flashbacks to them growing up and everything. The book is, I think it's set in two times. It's 20, as I said, 24 hours beforehand. Or 24 to 12 I found much more interesting than hours 12 to 0. I think it was because they were character building and they were world building and they were showing everything. However, in the last 11 hours, because this was only a 4-star read for me, and seriously, the first half, I seriously thought it was a 5-star read. In the last half, I think I was a bit disappointed on how the house burnt down and some of the decisions, the creative decisions that were made at the end of the book. I did really enjoy the book. I thought it was a brilliant book. However, it lost its 5-star rating because I was a little bit disappointed with the ending. So yeah, it was disappointing that it couldn't make it a 5-star, but it was still a really, really good book, and I loved the dynamic of the siblings. And I forgot, I was listening to someone talk about this, and they read it last year in 2022, and I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot how much I love that book. I forgot I'd read it, and yeah, it's sad that I forgot that I read it, but it was really easy to read, so quick, and I hope to read it again, I hope. Number 4, oh my goodness, is You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. I read Book Lovers, and so I decided to read You and Me on Vacation, and I loved it. I have no clue why I didn't give it 5 stars. It must be like 4.9 or something. It was, oh my goodness, it was so good. I really should have given it 5 stars. I feel like I can't think of any reason now why I didn't give it 5 stars. Thinking about now, I thought it was brilliant, and I really want to reread, and I really related to the character of Poppy. You and Me on Vacation is about 2 friends who go on vacation every year, and they fall out. They've fallen out, and so she gets in touch and asks him to come on vacation with her. She is a travel writer, and so asks him to come on vacation with her, and she feels like it's the last time they can go on vacation together before life happens, before they lose everything. And it's a lovely story. I really love it. I think I've only read 2 Emily Henry books, but that has been my favourite out of the 2. And I look forward to reading Beach Read and Happy Place this year in 2023. But I really enjoyed it. I thought You and Me on Vacation was so sweet. My goodness, it was just perfect. I need to change it to a 5-star. Number 3 is another 4-star read, and it is Open Book by Jessica Simpson. Another memoir. This is Jessica Simpson, who is the singer and reality star and billionaire. I didn't realize she made clothes, and I really enjoyed her memoir. I thought it was brilliant. I think the reason I only gave it a 4-star is because she had gone so in depth, and it was brilliant up until a certain point, and then after that certain point, just sort of summarized stuff. And I think it was because she didn't want to get so personal, because she had a new husband and children and everything. She just sort of summarized everything, and I think she was going off diaries, and she must have stopped doing the diaries then after that. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but it was brilliant. It was so good. She was a daughter of a Baptist, and she talks very much of her mother and her father and everything, and I could relate to it, and it was so interesting, and she was so truthful, and she didn't hold anything back. And I think that's one of the books that got me onto the memoir train, because I enjoyed her memoir so much. It blew me away, and I really enjoyed them talking, and you could feel her wanting to cry. And I highly recommend to anyone. I remember when Jessica Simpson came out, and then she talked about her relationship with John Mayer, which, oh my goodness, just broke my heart. I mean, the whole memoir just broke my heart. Now the number 2 spot. Who's gonna get number 2? V.E. Schwab has got number 2. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. When I was reading it, I did not think it was going to be number 2. Nope, 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 no way. I actually was disappointed with this book. I thought it could have been better. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is about a girl who makes a deal with the devil. He makes her immortal, but in return, no one remembers her. Whenever they lose sight of her, they forget her. Someone had suggested that the theme song for this, Invisible Strings by Taylor Swift. So whenever I was reading this, that's all I thought about. That's the song that sang in my head. And it really worked very well, and they look like little strings. So it's about Addie LaRue as she tries to experience life and get the most out of life, because that's what she really wants. She wants to see the world. And she can't influence the world herself, but she sees loopholes as to how she can how people can remember her. So it was really good. I think the reason why I was a little bit disappointed with it was because I had come up with plots, and I was like, oh, and then it never happened, and I'm like, well, maybe it did happen, and he just didn't say it. I still think about it. I think that's why it's number 2. I think I was disappointed with what it could have been. She did waffle an awful lot, but I found it very interesting. I wanted it to be longer. I think it could have been longer, and I think I would have quite happily have had it longer. I think I just wanted more from Addie. Well, anyway, so my favorite book of 2022 was a Taylor Jenkins Reid book, Daisy Jones and the Six. It was recommended to me, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and it was different. It was something I hadn't read before. I hadn't read a book in a documentary format before. It was amazing, and I will definitely be rereading it. Daisy Jones and the Six is about Daisy Jones, who is a drug addict and a singer who joins the group The Six for a album and a tour, and they implode. And this is about what happens and how they implode. They were at the top of their game, and then all of a sudden this implosion happened. Some people have said it's a love story, and I'm like, no, I didn't see a love story at all. When people say stuff, I believe it, because it's in a documentary point of view. People are saying things, and sometimes what they're saying isn't truthful. And I guess sometimes I believe what people are saying, which I shouldn't do. But I didn't read between the lines. But I didn't see it as a romance. Oh, I could talk about this book, and I think stuff I could talk about would be a bit too spoilery. This is definitely one of my favorite books of all time. It definitely changed my year. If I hadn't have read this, I don't think I would have carried on. It really got me out of a reading slump and got me into wanting to read again. This book is that powerful, and I can't wait to watch the TV series in 2023. If you haven't read this, don't read it. Listen to it on an audiobook, because it is, as I've said, when people try and buy it, I do warn them that it is set in a documentary format, and that they may be more suited to an audiobook version of it. Bible, if you haven't read it, please do. It's so good. Read, I think, 5 Taylor Jenkins Reid books this year, and this was by far my favourite. Every one I read hasn't come close at all. Hands down my favourite. So yes, that was my top 12 of the year. If any of you have read or any of you like the books I'm talking about, please comment down below and let me know what your favourite are, or what your top 10 or your top 12 are this year. And thank you, and I am sorry about the light, it's just gone all of a sudden. If you like this video, please like. If you want to see more of my content, please subscribe. And yeah, I hope you like these books. And if you don't like these books, that's fine. We all have our own opinion. We'll have a new video up next Tuesday, so I'll see you then. Enjoy. Thank you. Bye.